Hey, Amy Posner here, and I want to talk to you today about what good copywriting clients are really looking for in one particular narrow little area. So if you've been around the copywriting world at all, you have heard people talk about authority and expertise. And you've probably, unless you're that rare exception, you've probably had that experience of, what do I know? What am I an expert in? How do I demonstrate my authority? You've probably asked those questions. It's much more subtle than you might think. And you probably know much more than you think you know. And so here's the thing. And it starts with the discovery call. It can even start with the first email inquiry with the client, where you start going back and forth and doing a little bit of vetting with them. And what you'll find out is that expertise gets demonstrated throughout that whole process. It's part of what you know, and it's part of how you show up. And so what clients want to know is, are you an order taker or are you an expert? So an order taker is someone who does what the client needs them to do. So the client comes to you and they say, look, I need an email series. And you say, okay, great. What's the email series? It's a welcome series. And so you write them a welcome series. And that's perfectly acceptable at some levels. Later on, or if you want to get to later on more quickly, what you do is you ask questions. And obviously you need to, develop some expertise before you know what questions to ask, but you're going to ask questions like, okay, well, what do people get now when they join your list? What is it a welcome sequence for? Is it for a particular product? Is it for a particular service? Is it in response to something that they maybe downloaded on your site? What's the goal? What are you trying to achieve here? And to me, that's really always the ultimate question. It's like, what result, what outcome are you looking for? And then I can put on my strategy hat and start to think about different ways that can happen. For example, someone might come and say, we need to generate more leads, or we need to generate more sales. And so my first question will be, okay, great. Do you have a metric? How much you want to increase that, by numbers or by percentage, by dollar, whatever it is that whatever metric they're using. And what do you do currently? I mean, how does that work currently? So sometimes there's a system in place that they're replacing. Sometimes it's something new. But what is really valuable to the client is you bringing outside eyes and perspective. Because, think of your own business. We get very tunnel vision. You can't know what you don't know, and you can't see what you can't see. And what you can't see is your own stuff. It's very hard to get perspective. And a lot of people that you will be talking to, whether you're talking to a business owner or a CMO or somebody in marketing, whoever you're talking to, their plate's full. They've got a full-time job. They don't have a whole lot of time to think about something necessarily. So sometimes they want something, but they don't have time to think through potential outcomes, results, or ways to get there. And that's where you can add a really needed piece. And it's also where you can demonstrate what it's like to work with you. And so I'm a big believer in delivering value before money changes hands. So I don't have a problem spending a long time on a discovery call, provided that I've vetted them a little bit in email. I know, who they are, what they're doing. I know that I have a little interest. I have an inkling that maybe I can help them. I obviously don't have time to waste. None of us do. But by the same token, I don't try and fit everything into some sort of scripted amount of time or content. What I want to know is I want to know about them. I want to know what they're hoping to achieve. I want to know what they've done in the past, how it's worked. My sort of base question is, why this call right now? Or what's the genesis of this project? Like what's happened? Because when people come to us as copywriters, there's something in their business. There's something that they are trying to make happen, or need they're trying to fill. And just by asking those questions, you've already demonstrated an interest in their business. Now, I happen to love this conversation. I get really into it. So what have you done before? And how has it worked? And have you tried this? And then I like to share what I see, or maybe what I've seen in the field, what I've done for clients, what I see with their situation. And that often turns into a really interesting conversation. I'm fascinated by this stuff. That's why I do the work that I do. And so it's very helpful for that client to get the outside perspective and those outside eyes from somebody who actually is around this stuff all the time. And because if you think about them, it's a small slice of their business, right? It's one thing that they're doing. And aside from that call with you, they may not have the opportunity to have this conversation on a regular basis. And so the thing that I find very often in those discovery calls as well is people share information in those calls that even if I work with them for the next year, I may never hear again. They'll tell you their origin story, or why they got into this business, or what their background is. There's some really great nuggets. And I always ask people, hey, can I record this call? I'll want to refer back to it. And if we end up working together, I find that there are always things is revealed during these calls that I may never hear again. And so I'd really like to capture it. By doing that, I get to capture it, but I'm also setting the stage for, if we work together, and kind of a little bit about my process. Because what people want to know is, can they rely on you? Are you thorough? Will you do what you say you're going to do? Will you deliver? So aside from being excellent at your craft, which obviously you have to be or want to be to get good projects, clients need to feel that you see them and that you are going to provide a solution for them, and you're going to do it in a way that makes sense for them, or is even something that they really desire and that they really want. That's a really good way to demonstrate expertise. And that's what makes you an authority. And so I'm going to encourage you, while you're doing that, or while you're in those conversations, record them for yourself and listen, what nuggets are you sharing? Because those are nuggets that you can share everywhere. Those are your opinions. And I bet you good money on this, that you think all of those things everybody knows. And I guarantee you that they don't. And we all take our own knowledge base for granted. So demonstrate your expertise, spend time with people. And if you're creating content, and if you're not, we should have a talk. That's another conversation. But if you're creating content, think about those conversations and the things that you say routinely, because chances are good you say them your own way, through your own filter, and you have your own viewpoint on this, whether you think you do or not. I bet you do. But most importantly, demonstrate that expertise to clients. Reassure them, tell them. I'll tell people, hey, listen, when you work with me, I can guarantee you I'll meet every deadline. I'll guarantee that you'll know what's going on week to week. And if you need access to me, you'll have it. I'm easy to reach. When I'm on your project, you've got bat phone access. I'll say stuff like that. What I want them to know is I'm going to take really good care of you. Aside from doing good work, you'll be in the loop, because there's nothing worse for a client, especially with copywriters, because we tend to do research in the first part, and we go into our cave and we disappear, and then they wonder, ooh, where are you? Are you doing things? So I always reach out to them. Usually they've given me the people I'm going to talk to, and that's what I do first. I talk to their customers, and I'll reach out and say, hey, great. I just talked to this week. I talked to, these three people, got appointments set up for next week. We're starting to work on putting together big ideas. It's very reassuring to them to know what's going on. And it's really nice to hear from the person before you reach out to them. So I hope these nuggets are helpful for you. Go forth, be an expert, and remember, always deliver value before money changes hands. It's the best way to make a good impression. If you'd like to know when these videos drop, click the bell and you will be notified. Thanks.